My Curse, My Flavortown by Jordan Rotten 13. One night, I had a tough time falling asleep, so I decided to take a stroll in the woods. And little did I know that it was only the beginning of the nightmare that is now my life. It was around 1:45 a.m., a brisk night, a still night. Armed with my flashlight, I walked straight into the forest on the outskirts of town. In hindsight, I should have noticed how quiet it was, especially for being in a forest in the summer. I should have noticed the lack of any noise. There wasn't even a breeze. Suddenly, there was the sound of branches breaking, as if someone were tearing them straight off the trees. I panicked, thinking there could be a bear or some other horrible creature ready to pounce. Little did I know it was something so much worse than that. Something far worse. I stopped walking and cocked my head to the side, hoping to hear the sound of footsteps, so I would know which way to run if it came to that. I also picked up a couple loose stones from the ground, mostly just to calm my nerves. A loud woo obliterated the silence. It sounded as if Ric Flair had a throat lubricated with bacon grease. I could almost smell the noise. I flipped the switch on my flashlight to try and hide the location. A loud thumping accompanied the noise, and in the light of the full moon I saw a human shape come around a tree in front of me. It was about 15 feet away, nearly 6 feet in height. I heard a loud sniffing sound, and I could see the outline of its head turn my way. It started coming closer, and I could feel the adrenaline pump into my system. I turned tail and ran. I was sprinting as fast as I could, and this guy was easily keeping pace with me. I tripped and rolled onto my back, knowing that in only a few moments my life would be over. As a last-ditch effort, I decided to turn my light back on and maybe blind my pursuer. I waved the flashlight around wildly, hoping to catch his eyes in the light. Large, black eyes reflected back, and I nearly peed my pants, thinking for a moment that I was looking at some extraterrestrial being. Once I took a moment, though I realized that it was sunglasses. Who would wear sunglasses while in the forest at 2 a.m.? Why would anyone do that? I took in the rest of this guy's outfit: track pants, snakeskin boots, and a bright green bowler shirt with embroidered flames rising up from the bottom. The shirt was also streaked in some dark liquid I couldn't identify. I raised the light back up to the man's head. He had a black goatee with a bleach streak down the middle, like a racing stripe, and bleached spiky hair on top of his head. He looked weirdly familiar, like I had seen him somewhere before. Maybe at the local racetrack? Maybe we had passed him in the street or something. I couldn't place it. He started to giggle as he approached me and opened his mouth. Without moving his lips, I heard the sentence emanate from him. "You're taking the gobble, full throttle." He charged after that. Still laying prone on the ground, there was little defense as he belly flopped on top of me like an inept diver. The wind was nearly knocked out of me, and he tried to pin me down. I grabbed hold of his arms and realized that they were also covered with the same dark liquid that was on his shirt. It was barbecue sauce. I screamed and he yelled, "The sauce is money." And, with a sudden movement, bit deep into my shoulder, tearing a chunk out of my muscle. He twisted his head from side to side like an alligator and pulled his head back. He swallowed my flesh as I laid there sobbing, knowing that my life was over. I could feel the lifeblood pumping out of my shoulder with each beat of my heart. He spit this out with his lips and said, "I could put this on a flip-flop and it would still taste good." He then climbed off of me and flipped his sunglasses to the back of his head. I had a moment of clarity and realized this man, this monster, was Guy Fieri. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "Now that you bear my mark, you shall walk the earth for all eternity. You will haunt diners, drive-ins, and dives until the sun burns out." little life is left on this planet. I'm driving the bus to Flavortown, and you're coming along for the ride. Love, peace, and taco grease. And with that, he let out a long, bubbling sigh. His body started to shake and convulse. I noticed that his skin and clothes were sloughing off, falling in chunks, and the forest floor started to sink into the dirt. Soon, only a skeleton remained, and that too crumbled away. I forgot about my shoulder as a new, horrible agony racked my body, causing me to twist on my side and curl in the fetal position. I puked uncontrollably and shook. It felt as though my skin was splitting. The drop's flashlight illuminated my body as I looked down and saw that I was correct. Huge splits were running down my arms, and I felt like the same could be happening on my legs. In the splits, I could see something bright yellow, but I couldn't make out. As a fresh wave of pain hit me, my head seemed to stretch and bulge as if something forced itself out of the back of my head. I was on the ground screaming for what seemed like hours, and at some point I blacked out. I woke and realized that my voice had completely been destroyed from the screaming, but I also realized the pain had started to subside. I looked around and saw my skin and clothes littering the ground around me as if I had cast them on. I felt my face and realized I had grown a goatee, and sunglasses were now sitting on the back of my head snugly. I stared down at my arms and saw tattoos that were never there before. Framing my arms as a yellow short-sleeved shirt with flames painted on the sleeves and bottom. It hit me like a ton of bricks. My worst nightmare had come true. I was Guy Fieri now.